Medicine with Dr. Morin. I'm Dr. Keith Morin. Today I want to talk about preliminary data that was released by Johnson & Johnson and Janssen Pharmaceuticals. They released information this week about their vaccine. It's not yet been peer-reviewed and the full data is yet to be seen. However, the data is promising. It's my intent in this and my other vaccine videos to provide you with the most current information that I've been able to find and explain it to you in easy terms so that you can make your own informed decision. I believe in freedom of choice and current information, so whether you have access to, option to, or are strongly encouraged to take the vaccine, you can weigh the risks and rewards. This vaccine could be available for emergency use in different countries once the full data is reviewed. This is a vector vaccine using DNA inside the genetically engineered adenovirus. Now, quickly recap on this slide, you can see how the adenovirus has changed in the lab to the actual vaccine, going from step 1 to step 2. It's then taken up by the cell after injection, with the DNA going through the cytoplasm into the nucleus. In step 3, the DNA is transcribed into messenger RNA and then ejected back out into the cytoplasm, where at step 4, it then goes to the ribosome in the cytoplasm. Now, the ribosome is a part of the cell which translates the messenger RNA into the spike protein. Step 5 is having the protein expressed on the human cell for the immune system to see it and to respond to it. I go into more detail into this whole process in my video about COVID vaccinations. In that video, I go over the different kinds of COVID-19 vaccination you would be interested in. There's a link below to the data that has been released so far from Johnson & Johnson and Janssen Pharmaceuticals for your interest. Now, I want to report on their Phase 3 Ensemble clinical trial using their single-dose COVID-19 vaccine. All primary and key secondary endpoints were met in their study. The safety and efficacy were based on 4,783 participants with 468 symptomatic cases of COVID-19 during the time period. The participants were from different parts of the world. 44% were from the United States, 41% from Central and South America, and 15% from South Africa. 45% of the participants were female and 55% were male. Now, 41% of the participants had comorbidities. 3% in fact had HIV, and there were also other immunocompromised participants in the study. The vaccine was randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial in adults 18 years and older. The vaccine was 66% effective overall at preventing severe COVID-19 at 28 days after vaccination, but the onset of protection was observed as early as day 14. The level of protection varied in the U.S., 66% in Latin America, and 57% in South Africa, all measured 28 days after the vaccination. Cases of severe disease were noted after day 49. So in other words, this vaccine gets much better with age. The vaccine demonstrated complete protection against COVID-related hospitalization and death only 28 days after vaccination. The protection was consistent across race, age groups, including over 60, and across variants and regions, including South Africa, where 95% of the COVID-19 cases at the time of the study were all due to their variant, which is the B.1.351 lineage. The new Brazilian variant was also present during the study. So these results are quite encouraging in regards to these variants. That shows the pharmaceutical companies deliberately leave countries where the variants were to test the vaccine during vaccination trials did not have, and it why the efficacy rates were different. Remember, Pfizer had a 95% efficacy rate, Moderna 94%, course are higher than the 66% overall with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now, the trial with Johnson & Johnson will be continued for up to 2 years. Safety profile here was very good. Fatality rates were only 9%, and overall severe adverse events were higher. Yes, higher in the placebo group compared to the active vaccine candidate. They saw no anaphylaxis, meaning there was no severe allergic reactions noted. And this is definitely a benefit. The fact that it's only one injection is another benefit, which makes it much simpler for administration and distribution, not to mention keeping track of when and who had their vaccination. They know that their vaccine is a not-for-profit vaccine for emerging pandemic use, pending, of course, authorizations in different countries. It lasts 3 months at refrigerator temperatures and can actually remain stable for 2 temperatures of -20 Celsius. So the overall cost, not just the cost of the vaccine, is going to be much less than Pfizer or Moderna, as the cost of distribution is less because of its stability, one-shot nature, and how long it lasts. Looking at the results, the efficacy may seem less than the other vaccines, such as Pfizer and Moderna. However, this vaccine was utilized in South Africa, and as I mentioned before, 95% of their cases were that of the new strain. There are also a number of immunocompromised patients. It's difficult to compare one vaccine against. I would note that this would truly be the only way that one can tell whether a vaccine was better than another, which is by studying them in a fashion. The one thing about all 4 vaccines that we're talking about, the Pfizer, Moderna, the Johnson & Johnson, as well as the AstraZeneca, is that they all prevent hospitalization with death 1 month or so after vaccination. I do not think that it matters which vaccine that you get. If you should be vaccinated, the one that's available first in your area is the one that you should receive. Waiting for a specific vaccine does not make clinical sense to me. The newer variants are more transmissible, and you do not want to acquire the virus and have a bad outcome while you're waiting for a specific vaccine. You may be aware that there are ongoing clinical trials of vaccines in participants such as having one injection of the Pfizer vaccine and one injection of the Moderna vaccine. I look forward to reporting the research. While the true costs of vaccines in terms of acquiring the vaccine, distribution, and vaccination are completely assessed, the following figures are reasonable approximations for the cost of the product in the vial, and this will give you an idea. Pfizer's 2 injections are about $40 US, Moderna's 2 injections $50 to $75, AstraZeneca's 2 injections $8 US, and Johnson & Johnson's full injection is $10. Thanks for watching Medicine with Dr. Morin today. I'm Dr. Keith Morin. Get healthy, stay healthy.